This is Grr, It Happens. I'm Mindy Stearns. To know him is to love him. He's an entrepreneur, a CEO, a father, a brother, a visionary, a victor, not a victim. He's also a doctor. He's my husband. That's right. We're talking about Glenn Stearns, and this is Grr, It Happens.
Hey.
I sort of memorized it. I think I might have left a few out.
You did pretty good that time. I'm proud of you.
Sorry. I don't know what I forgot.
All right,
what did
we'll
I
practice
forget?
again tonight.
Ubermensch? That's when you like me to call you.
Yes.
So you want to talk about regret.
No, I don't. I want to talk about seizing the day.
No, well, we talked.
Carpe
well,
diem.
you were asking me, do you have any regrets?
I asked if you had any regrets.
I'm trying to think if I do. The interesting thing about regrets is more people regret, like you can regret not taking action, but what stays with you longer, like you can regret actions you've taken, but what stays with you longer is not taking action. Does that make sense?
Right.
Like you make choices and you can regret it, but you're like, but what stays with you deep and resonates in your body is those actions you didn't take.
Well, that's my whole point of the story, dear. And that is,
seize the day.
So many people out there had come to me from the show saying, man, it just watching you work your tail off and not have any friends or any money or any contacts and being able to really take advantage of hard work and doing it got me to want to get off the couch and got me to want to do something and try and take a chance. And that's what I think most of the difference between people who will grow and people that won't is when we keep pushing it till tomorrow. Right? Mm-hmm. We're never going to be any younger. We're never going to be any probably better than we are today.
You can't buy back the time. You can make more money, but you can't make more time. So once it's gone, it's gone.
And so to take advantage of an opportunity when, today is your best day, meaning we don't know what tomorrow is going to bring. Right? Time is the enemy of all deals. Mm-hmm. And so when you look at our lives and you say, I got that, by the way. And you say, we want to try something, but you know what? I just want a little more time to prepare. I just need, when I think about how I've always lived my life and I think about what Richard Branson has said about his, it's a lot of flying the plane, yet you're still, putting the windows and the seats in and, and maybe putting a wing or two on. It doesn't have to be perfect. You just have to get it going. And then, you run into a little frustration. You run into a little problems because you're not quite all done, but you're moving along. And a lot of people think I need it all done perfectly before. I think we talked about this once. You had a travel company and you guys kept wanting it perfect. We get the logo. We got to get the website. We got to just start selling.
Do it.
Just go.
Well, that's why Nike made a lot on that one phrase, because that was kind of don't sit and just overplan. Just do it.
And I think about when I think about the past, when I think about looking back, I'll give you an example. Our dear friend Lauren in Maryland, she was struck with cancer and began to prepare. And I know a lot of people do this. What's going to be my best way to fight this? And she spent probably, too long, long time looking at every option, going and visiting every doctor.
And meanwhile, the cancer was growing.
Finding out that,
there's got to have been some denial.
Maybe the chemotherapy was going to hurt her liver, or maybe this was going to hurt her, breast tissue or whatever it was. But the reality was you have cancer growing, right? So you can't sit and you can't plan. So that is the ultimate example of how it doesn't end well, right?
No.
And you've got to be able to have action. Inaction is... It's an action. It means failure.
Made a choice,
right? You made a choice
to not.
And so you have to make a choice. And I look back on little things. When I was younger, and my son Skylar not your son. This was your stepson.
He's my son now.
Exactly. Well, when Sky was probably about 1.5 years old or something, I don't remember how old he was, 2 years old, we went to SeaWorld.
I don't think they let that young in. It probably was, I thought it was like 7.
Okay. He was young. I can't remember.
You can't go down there at 7.
You're probably right.
It probably like 8. It was him. Right before. Yeah, he would have been chum.
Yeah. All right. So my time is off, but he was
slightly
young. And we went to SeaWorld, and they came up to us and said, hey, would you like to go over and pet Shamu? Because part of the show, we're going to have him come out, and you can go up and kind of ride Shamu, get on him a little bit or whatever happened. And he was like, no. And he got really scared, and he didn't want to do it. And I said, son, you're going to be up there with Shamu. You get to get your picture with them. It's going to be in the whole show. I don't want to do it. And so we sat in the audience, and Shamu came up out of the water, and another little kid got to sit up on him. And he said, they're going, I want to do that, And the reality was, your window has closed. And that's the problem, is we take our time, we think too much.
We let fear stand in the way.
And we let fear get in the way.
I love that book by Susan Jeffers, Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway. And that's how you break through a lot of inaction, is just, you're going to feel fear. Life is full of fear. There's full of reasons to feel fear. But if you know you're going to feel it, then just do it anyway. Right. It's not, you can't make daring decisions with the absence of fear. I mean, so
when I think about business, when I think about life decisions,
I regret that you didn't let me invest in Oculus.
I know, that was a bad one. But you were going to invest in Facebook is what it was, right? Because they bought, anyway. So we have a lot of those.
Before they bought it.
But the reality is, again, that what happens to many of us is we think too much. We get involved too much in overthinking, and then we get stuck.
By analysis.
Thank you. That was looking for that next little quote there. And I can just tell you, there's so much of that happening with any decision we make. And so people come and say, how did you do it? I just did it. I got up and I started working on it. I didn't know if it was going to work. It feels like it would work. It should work. And that's the difference.
So sometimes just taking that little tiny baby step in that direction. Just getting out of bed sometimes is the first thing you should do.
So let me tell you another thing that I find in today's world, right?
Okay.
And this will be a little controversial, but it's, we've got, I think since the explosion of social media, we all have an opinion, right?
Right.
And so now you get people on the left and people on the right, and they're just dividing more and more and more, meaning getting farther and farther, where it used to be, maybe you didn't agree with me that the town hall should have a new, roof on it, but you did agree that you want them to stay closed on Sundays and, whatever, right? In the little town.
Well, also to that point, I remember Bill Clinton talking about that in a seminar we went. There was a time, way before the onset of social media, when we would go get our news at 3 news stations, ABC, CBS, and NBC. That was it. And you'd get the facts. And journalists were journalists. And journalists they would make sure they checked and fact-checked for the most part.
Right.
And then they deliver the facts. Back to just the facts, man, the Walter Cronkite era, And then you could form an opinion based on the facts, and everybody has a different opinion. But now we have opinion television giving people their opinions. So they don't have a way to form an opinion because it's being given to them and fed to them and shoved down their throat. And how do we get from regrets to that?
So I'm getting to that. So what I think happened is, whether it's social media or it was opinion TV versus factual TV, or it was or they both came at the same time. However it happened, we get to a place where we have Fox News and CNBC, right? Or, CNN, right? We have...
Seem to be pitted against each other.
We have, 2 different sides, and both of them are completely different, right? And so then you figure you got to stand on one side. And if you stand on one side, then the other people on the other side will say you're a bad person on either side. versus again before
when we had the facts in the middle, and then we decided, and we had a discussion, and we could have, and we could actually have like Thanksgiving dinner, and you could talk to your neighbor about politics, and there wasn't. You know, how many people have unfriended someone because they had an opposing political view? I mean, defriended.
Right.
You're no longer my friend because you have an opposing
that's my
view.
point. It didn't used to be that way.
No.
Because what used to happen is we all agreed, hey, you know what? We got this chicken pox, so why don't we go put our kids all in a room and let them all get the chicken pox at the same time, right? And then everyone would get chicken pox, and it was out of the way, and now move on with your life, right? But now there's people that say, well, the vaccine is horrible, because what it is it's made by those, you know,
big pharma
who are out to really put these robots in our heads and do all these crazy things. And, you know, and maybe I'm being extreme, but I mean, people now say, because someone wants me to do something, I'm not going to do it. Take the vaccine as an example. And so now we've got political views in the middle of health,
a health issue.
And then you've got people that want to do it or not do it. And then you get too paranoid. And I'll give you an example. I was in college, and I went in to do a drug study. Now, it's already, you know, it's pretty, you're all the way, you've done animal trials, you've done everything. But now I'm going to go do the last portion, which is to have the drug tried on me so it can then go out into the public.
You were a guinea pig.
I was a guinea pig. And I did it because I was in college and I needed to make an extra little bucks for Christmas. So as I sat in Baltimore, they clean you out for a night because you've got a bunch of the homeless people that'll come in that maybe are intoxicated, and you got a bunch of college kids, they're probably intoxicated too, and then they wash it all out, and then the next morning you start your day or two taking this drug, and then they get to monitor your blood and everything. So we sleep that night, and in the morning, 7 a.m. before our start, this one young man gets up there and he says, I go to Johns Hopkins University. I have read through this document, and it says that we are guinea pigs and it may cause liver damage and it may do this. We are going to die from this. And so I'm sitting listening to this, and I began to get fear. I'm not a guinea pig.
Yeah, but
I'm
that's
not going to let
in your body and you don't know.
Yes, I'm not going to have something damage my liver. And so I walked out. Me and 3 other guys walked out.
Lost out on the money.
Lost out on the money. But guess what? I'm not going to be a guinea pig. Listen, I'm reading into this, right? And then they ended up having the drug go through anyway in the next year or two, whenever it was. And it was, have you ever heard of ibuprofen? Okay. Or acetaminophen, whatever the other one was, right? One of them. Yeah, I think it was anyway, that is I was taking an aspirin. It was going to pay me like $500, but so now we have the same thing, right? And so it gets me back to the part that I was just trying to make, which is the longest story ever, which is, you've got to look at everything that is presented in front of you, and then go with what you think is the best of odds. I think, like with cancer, when I got cancer, I wasn't going to go the route of Steve Jobs and just do Eastern medicine, right? I wanted to take the Western medicine, which gave me, according to the numbers, 85% survival rate, and then I'll go do Eastern medicine. Like I said, I'll spit on my head, I'll pray to Mecca, I'll put needles in my eyes, all those things I'll do. But I want that to make my mind stronger. But I'm going to use the Western medicine. And so I think people...
But you also, if I were to go back, do you have regret that you didn't go with the first surgery that you heard about because it hadn't been tried and tested?
So you can't live in the past. You can't live with... When you make your choice, I guess this is the end of that story. When you make your choice, you have to live with it, no matter what. Mm-hmm. And so...
that's the hard part. I think people punish themselves for the choices they didn't make or did make. And and the choices you didn't make, I think people regret longer.
So I see a lot of people that's exactly where I was going with this, that live backwards, right? They say, if
If
either
only,
them
if only.
or other people.
You can't shoulda on yourself.
No.
Shoulda. Can't shoulda on yourself.
I was going to say you can shit on yourself, but that's a whole nother story.
No, you can't. You can't shoulda on yourself. Shoulda, coulda, wouldas. That's a shoulda. Stop shooting on yourself because it is what it is. Move on. Make new choices in the future, and there's nothing you can. You cannot. It's so cliche. You can't change the past. We don't have a time machine yet, although you'd love those time machine movies. Your favorite.
They're my
Wouldn't
favorite.
that be wonderful if we did? But we don't.
You know, I remember selling my 1969 Rally Sport Z28, and I sold that car in my first year of college because I had lost my license.
Regret.
And my girlfriend at the time,
April Caputo,
said you should sell it and get a car that's more gas efficient.
Okay, hold on. Glenn, was the cool ass dude in high school with a 69 Rally Sport Z28
hideaway
Camaro,
headlights, 302 small block, 411 posi rear. Oh, was
blue
that a
stripes with the white racing stripes? The only
best
20
car
ever
ever.
made. And he sold that.
I didn't know it was only
nothing.
20 ever made, $2,500.
He sold that and got a rabbit, a powder
blue rabbit.
You turned in your man card. You literally turned it in. You drove a rabbit.
I hate April Caputo to this day. She's actually a friend.
No, we
and
love
she
April.
married
We
a
love
very good friend of
April.
mine. But yes, and I ended up leaving that powder blue rabbit on the side of the freeway and let them tow it away, and that was the end of that car.
No regrets there.
No regrets there.
But here, look it.
But
and all the story ended up okay.
No, I know. I was going to say, so I looked for that car that was 1982. I looked for it for
30 years.
37 years. And I wanted to buy that car back, and we could never find it because I didn't realize till after I sold it there was only 20 made. There was only 5 blue and white ones, and it was never going to happen. So you look for it, I look for it. We went through every auction, and finally, I was. This is last year.
You went to the Barrett Jackson
auction
with your friend John, John Elway. I'll drop it for you.
He was going to be doing his own.
He had a Viper he was selling, so he asked you to come down to Arizona.
Exactly. And on the flight down, I said, John, I got one regret in my life: selling that damn 1969 Rally Sport Z28.
Well, this one was on a block.
And I said, if that car ever exists, but now, 50 years later, right? It's 69. That is nowhere to be found. I'm sure it's gone.
Or someone's got it in a garage somewhere.
When we
just beautifully displayed
went there,
without you.
They said, Mr. Elway, would you like to see your Viper? It's in one of the other tents down there. There's like 500,000 people that go to Barrett Jackson, literally.
And I imagine.
And so we ended up going down to see his car, and we go into that tent, and what is sitting next to his car but a blue and white Camaro? And I grab his arm. I said, that better not be my car.
No, you just better not.
I mean, it better be. It can't
be.
And we get down there, and there it says it. This 1969 Rally Sport Z28 makes it one of the most highly sought-after muscle cars, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, holy cow.
See, that was a regret.
I'm getting to that.
I know, but the story goes really long.
I'm sorry.
Just go right to the end.
The end is, I said, where is this car from? Maryland. Holy cow, this is my car. And I can't believe it. So I ended up buying that car back. And yes, it cost about 60 times more than I sold it for. But I flew that night back to Maryland. I crawled in bed with one of my buddies who was dying of cancer.
Phil Shockley.
And
Phil.
And so I sat there and I said, put my arm around him and I said, Phil, damn April Caputo. I said, I got my car back. And everyone in my high school knew my car. And I said, I got my car back, but I had to pay 60 times. And he laughed.
It was his last laugh.
And then, he passed away later that day. But I was really, again, it's okay to have regrets if you can figure a way to write them.
Like the one that got away.
The one that got away.
Oh, but Stacey Torrin.
Oh, no, we're not going there. We're not going there.
Someday we'll tell that story. That's one of my favorites. Oh, my gosh.
But I do think that it's important that you do look at things. And, I look at this picture of Trevor. We had helicopter when we were out there in Asia, and we were jumping out of into the ocean, and Trevor did a backflip into the ocean off a helicopter. And I got this coolest picture in my phone here of him doing that. And I always thought, why didn't I do it? Because I kept looking.
He like full on jumped out backwards in the air.
And I said, I want to do that. I want that picture. And I thought, well, I'll do it next time. And, you know, obviously next time never came. Look who just texted me, Trevor.
Oh.
And so anyway.
But you did jump. You did jump.
I jumped. I hung off it and jumped.
That's another story.
Yeah.
He wasn't happy with me.
Yeah.
That's okay. You got a great picture. Yeah. I mean, it's a great picture. You got a really good picture.
Exactly. So the people out there probably have no interest in anything we've talked about other than the fact that, you know, when you're sitting there thinking, I think I'll do this tomorrow. I think that maybe, you know, I've got to prepare more. I think that, you know, next year is going to be better because there won't be COVID. All these other things you think.
Just Nike it.
Just do it. And make sure you just realize that
Feel
it's
the fear.
okay.
Do it anyway. Take the first
fail.
step.
It's okay to learn by your mistakes. But if you do nothing, you're going to just get older, and you're going to figure out a way that something else is going to pique your interest.
Time
and then
is
you're going to
march
look back.
by. You don't get to go back.
And you're never,
You're
ever going to be able to have
no
back
more
what
time.
you want. To do it.
That's a good lesson. Good lesson
That's
today.
right.
So, in the essence of time, now that we've just spent a nice 30 minutes together talking about, I have no regrets after the last half hour.
Do you?
No. Do I?
Okay.
I don't have any.
Perfect.
No.
All right, dear. So let's keep going. We've got some great guests coming up on the show. I'm really excited. We've put a few in the can already this year. And
please tune in to us on Instagram, on Facebook, wherever you find it, on YouTube. Grit Happens. That is, you can follow Glenn at Glenn Stearns on Instagram, Mindy Stearns, and Kind Lending. And please join us for another episode of
Grit Happens.